the rim. I was looking at the fourth quarter. It was more of a 3-pointers that were missed.
Yep.
I mean, was that something that you saw pretty much game-wide or just like down the stretch?
Well, I thought in the first quarter we scored it efficiently at the rim. The second through the fourth quarter we didn't, and probably the third quarter is where we got to the rim the most, and we had 10 short shots, what we call them, around the rim, and we were 2 for 10 in that quarter, And then I think we made adjustments and kicked it out and got more arc shots in the fourth.
Do you look at opponents' blocks as an indication of how effective you're being in terms of getting good shots near the rim?
I think that's certainly a factor, certainly a part of it. I thought in that game we had, there's probably a couple different scenarios. We had some where we just missed point-blank opportunities. We had some where we made tougher decisions because we were swarmed and we tried to score when we probably should have kicked it out. There were a couple opportunities where, they kind of got underneath us, and then we probably needed to score, take a little more time to score. And there are other times that they were probably over the top of us, and those are times, too, that you probably need to either get them off balance or move it at that point in time. And, again, some of it depends on the shot clock,
Right.
too, and where you're at, but a couple different scenarios.
Go ahead.
If you had to make a scouting report against your team, what would a Maya battle be on that scouting report?
You want me to help the other coaches that are going to watch this with the scouting report?
She just seems, I know she has a couple seasons under her belt, but it just
Right.
seems like it's really starting to click.
Well, I think Amaya is someone who has continued to grow her game in a lot of ways. I think there were, we talked earlier in the season where that she was shooting the ball, quite a bit more from the arc and shooting it efficiently, and then, but at that time she wasn't really getting to the free throw line in the same way that she was in the past. And now I think she's doing a much improved job of understanding when to attack and when, when it's a good shot from the perimeter, when it's a shot, for a later shot in the shot clock, you're going to have to try to get something up. So I think she's understanding kind of how to attack, when to attack, and continuing to grow her game in a lot of ways.
I wanted to ask about Annika Stewart too. She's so productive off the bench consistently. I mean, does she accepted that role? Do you ever have to have conversations with her, knowing that is kind of her niche right
Well,
now?
you need to have someone who comes off the bench, and ideally multiple players who give you a boost. That's a big part of making an adjustment in the game and forcing your opponents to recognize and make those adjustments too. And so I think she's been able to give us that type of a boost, and that's been really, really important for us, and I think her game's continuing to evolve and grow too. I think she's gotten the ball around the rim quite a bit more and is more comfortable there than I know she was this summer, and this fall. So, and continuing to work on that aspect of it. And then also not just scoring when you're in that situation, but, recognizing, decision making at that point in time and being in balance and finding the kid who's open and available, whether that's the kid at the rim, whether it's the kid in the behind spot, whether it's the kid in the head spot, or, maybe you keep your dribble a little bit longer. So recognizing a lot of different opportunities.
Ball movement. There are times when the ball movement is really, really good. And like in the second quarter of the other night, I think, it was really good. But you only finished with 11 assists. There have been times you've got 22, 23 assists.
Right.
Is that an indication of kind of the way the offense is being efficiently?
Well, I think that's a part of it. I also think tempo, and getting stops helps us with our tempo. Last year, we were a team that didn't really attack in a full court in the way that we have the ability to this year. And so that makes a difference for us. I also think, it's hard to get assists we had a number of really good-looking shots that we didn't make. So that affects it, quite a bit as well. So it's all part of what we're working on, screening, reading, when teams really try to slow you down by kind of, packing the lane in a lot of ways. How do you counter that? And those are things that we're working on.
Kind of a strange game in Wisconsin. You came out really, really hot, and then basically played the two teams played fairly even over the last 3 quarters. Does Wisconsin look different from then, and if so, how?
Yeah, I think they've adjusted in how they're attacking. They've added some new sets and new ways to attack teams, whether that's in kind of some different high-low looks or high post touches or in some screening action for shooters. So I do think that they've made adjustments since the last time that we've played against them. I think they are putting you in tough spots to have to guard. You know, Sarah Williams is still Sarah Williams and is still a force in so many ways and can score it one-on-one and can score it one-on-two and sometimes can spin by both those kids or fade off both those kids and find a way to score it almost one-on-three. So I think we know how big of a handful she is. And but at the same time, I think other kids are shooting the ball or hunting more shots since the last time we played them too.
She's pretty good about passing out of the double team too, right, Williams?
Oh, she's good at all of it. Yeah, she's a very
Maybe
talented.
A lot of threes off of her inside-out passing.
Right. Yeah, I think she's a very, very gifted scorer, and she's a very gifted passer. Both, very dangerous in both ways.
Any more questions for Coach?
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you Sunday.
It's about being more efficient, scoring at the hoop sometimes through contact. In your guys' minds, what's the key to that? Is part of that just deciding when to try to score there and when to kind of pass the ball out?
I think in practice we have like a great intent as far as like trying to be able to score and make better reads out of it. So therefore it can trickle down to game time. But I think it just kind of comes with reading the defense and being able to pick and choose when you want to challenge the defense and when it's best to kick it out.
How much of that kind of effectiveness has to do with the pace of the offense with which you're playing? Annika was talking about how she thought the offense slowed down a little bit in the fourth quarter the other night. Do you agree with that? And does that have a lot to do with how effective and efficient you guys can be for either player?
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat the question?
I can. How much does pace of play affect how efficient you guys can be on offense?
You got it. I think that we try to play at a decent pace, therefore we can know when to score the ball, when to actually get in a set, or when to just play in transition. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges in basketball in general, because you don't want to just be in transition all the time, because that's bound for turnovers or anything. But I do think when we're playing at a faster pace than normal, it's harder for teams to guard because we're able to stretch the floor with shooters and able to get to the basket as well.
Tori, does it feel like this freshman season has slowed down a little bit now? I mean, it doesn't seem like the lights are too big for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. I mean, obviously, like, we've been put into a lot of different positions as a team, so it's like you kind of just have to adjust, but everything's going well, so I'm happy.
Do you guys learn from, I know you learn from your teammates, but like Amaya Battle, I know she's got a couple seasons under her belt now. It just seems like her confidence is at an all-time high. Is that contagious to you guys as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely contagious. I think it makes it like super easy, or way easier to play when you see like your teammates succeeding and stuff, and especially from like our older players out of like Lex and Amaya, like they just like know what they're doing out there. They play with such poise and confidence, and it kind of just like rubs off on you, and they just continue to communicate, especially with like us younger girls, and like telling us like what we can do, like what we can do better, or like how the game's going and stuff. So it really just helps like keep people calm and focused.
Wisconsin's the only team you're going to play twice this year, which is kind of weird the way the conference has gone, but it wasn't that long ago. But do they look any different to you than they did the first time?
We haven't watched film on them yet, as like the second time around. But I know any team any team is ready to like give us their best shot. So I think starting today, once we watch film and get practice underneath our belts, then we're going to have a better understanding from last game. It ended up being a close game just because of some mistakes that we made. But I think this time around we're more focused on just us as a team and being able to knock down the next opponent, whoever that is.
Thank you, guys.